Good afternoon. I'm your host, Bryan bringing you today's episode of Salesforce Sessions, where we talk about everything Salesforce as we all go down our digital transformation journeys. This episode is brought to you by List Engage, and today we are excited to have with us Caleb Lindemann. Caleb is a technology executive and philanthropist. We're super excited to have Caleb here as he's a senior strategic marketing cloud executive in financial services, and we talk a lot about digital transformation on this video podcast, and can't wait to get Caleb's kind of insight and perspective on it. Caleb, first things first, Einstein on the wall. What's that all about?
Yeah, so 6 years ago, actually, ironically, right before I came to Salesforce, my wife and I, we like to, on the weekends, go to Home Goods, kind of pop in there and noodle around and see what they have. And I saw this portrait in the kind of corner, just sitting there, and I thought it was great. If you zoom in on it, I'm not going to get up and show you, but it's got the formulas for Einstein and all different types of variations in the color. And it's just a cool portrait. So that was one, visually appealing. And then two, he's really turned into the cornerstone of our brand, right? When you think of, thinking about things that don't exist, using data, using formulas, and just extracting information that to the common eye typically wouldn't make sense. I thought it was nice to see the connection point of something that I just saw in a store, and it kind of turned into again, a very important component of our business and of our customer success.
Nice. So, have you always been into Einstein and kind of more cerebral things like that, or is that something that you kind of evolved into?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a philosopher by any means. I like to study CEOs, right? So obviously Mark and Jeff Bezos, to name a few. But I would say I typically consider myself an intellect, and I'm a data-driven person. So there are some connections there for sure.
Nice. So tell me, because everyone knows that I'm pretty new to the ecosystem. I've only been in for about 3 years now, and I am always fascinated as to how people actually got into the Salesforce ecosystem. So how'd you get here?
Yeah, it was a bit of a journey, believe it or not. So ExactTarget was acquired by Salesforce about 6 years ago and is now Marketing Cloud, one of our most successful acquisitions in the history of our business. And I grew up a Hoosier. I'm an Indiana boy, and actually didn't really know about ExactTarget. I had one friend that worked there, and I just didn't have much more context. And then when Salesforce made the acquisition, I was at a company, actually JB Hunt, a logistics company, and I had been running point for them on building out their transportation management system. Ironically, it was called JB Hunt 360 back in the day, which was another interesting connection point in my past. We use Salesforce at JB Hunt, and I'll be the first to admit that it wasn't that I was going around each corner of the hallway and everyone was saying, "Oh, we love Salesforce," right? There were people that didn't like it, people that loved it. Just overall, it's technology, and we were trying to gain adoption across the organization. But for me, it really stood out to me as a differentiator for our business. And when I started using it and just more of the social feel of it and the ability to collaborate, and then after meeting with some individuals from Salesforce, I was kind of enamored, right, with the brand and the culture and the things they were doing in the marketplace. And so you combine that with the fact that ET was acquired, and I was just very interested. And a big part of me is just picking up the banana and making things happen. And so I applied for 6 or 7 different positions. Finally ended up getting a call back for a position that I didn't want. Unfortunately, I turned that into an opportunity to get the position that kind of led me to where I am. And it's just been an amazing journey And I'm excited for the next 10 years with the business. I really am. I think it's just completely unique what we're doing for our customers and just the shared success that we have, across our business and our customers' businesses.
This is the thing that's kind of interesting, right? Because like you, my prior exposure to Salesforce was like using it in my last business and is a CRM, and that was great. And you're always, either being hounded or hounding someone to use the things, but you're not really thinking about it. And
Hmm.
so as I got involved, and just realized it's not just about CRM, it's how CRM like connects to everything else that's really where it starts to get interesting. But you've been there like 6+ years now. What's it like being in on the inside?
Oh man, it's exciting and it's dynamic, and sometimes it's a bit overwhelming. I think our pace of innovation,
Yeah.
and our ability to release new products and our ability to connect products to a brand strategy and then go to the market. It's unique, but there's a lot. And so I think it's a day-to-day kind of pivoting in and out of customer needs, and where are we developing, where are we spending R&D, and what's the best fit for everyone. So you've got to be on your toes. But in the end, what I would call out is just the culture.
Yeah. Culture's
Mark's on.
spirit, it oozes through everything. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, I keep my circle pretty small, just in regards to personal relationships, and 6 years have gone by, and I've been a best man at a wedding. I have a group of friends that I consider family. And that's been the hardest thing about the pandemic. I'm an extrovert. I like to be social. I like to talk to people. So that was hard, but in the end, it was man, I just miss my friends. Like going to work was kind of like a Saturday with the boys for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's just been really cool to be a part of that. And it's not just in Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis is unique because we have the exact target kind of legacy flair, and I think that's another really cool thing about Salesforce is we acquire businesses and we allow that business to kind of remain intact and to keep their individual cultures. And so we've blended orange into blue over time, but it's just a special family here in Indianapolis. But if you go to all of our other marquee hubs, Chicago, San Francisco, Atlanta, Dallas, it's the same story, which I
Yeah.
just think is really cool, and I feel like that spills over into our partners, like List Engage, and it spills over into our customers, which
Yeah.
is when it really becomes cool, when you can start talking to customers about transforming culture and whether it's hiring or promoting or just building a family within their organization. That's the stuff that I really, really enjoy doing. And I'm just fortunate to be a part of an organization and an ecosystem of partners, that makes that easy.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of brings me to a question I like to ask everybody that comes on the show, which is, what do you like best about what you're doing?
I am a firm believer that customer data and a business's ability to utilize customer information to drive a personal connection with their customers and to drive a personalized experience. I believe that is the cornerstone of global commerce in the future, period. Like that is the most important thing that businesses should be doing across the board. Doesn't matter what vertical you're in, doesn't matter what geography you're in. That is the motion of being a successful business. And what I just really enjoy about my job is I'm going into conversations with businesses that historically have viewed data and just overall initiatives more with an operational focus. How do we help the bottom line? How do we help our employees, which are very
Yeah.
important? You can't lose sight of that. But I just love the fact that things are shifting more towards the initial filter, right? Whether it's data, experience, operations, the initial filter is what is the impact of this on the customer? which
Hmm.
I think is cool. It's kind of like separating yourself. What do I need? If I'm a CEO, what does the business need? I think it's really unique and it's special to be a part of this movement that is truly putting the customer at the center of everything that our customers do. So that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, I think the work that we do collectively that we do is pretty cool because a lot of people refer to this as digital transformation, and at the end of the day, I see that I feel like we're fulfilling a promise, and that's a promise made by all of this technology to try to do some of these things, to put the actual customer first, to make things easier, to actually improve not just connecting but communication. And
Hmm.
we get to actually like be where the rubber meets the road and figure out how to actually make it so. And uh, I get excited when I think about that every single day because we get to do this. How cool is that,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And we're in the front end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we would be foolish to not say that between Salesforce and our partners, we're doing things that actually don't exist right now,
Hmm.
and we're doing them successfully. And so I think like when you think of our Trailblazer network and really the mentality behind becoming a Trailblazer, it's just that. When you have the power at your fingertips to build, create whatever you would like, that's a pretty special thing. Comes
Yeah,
with
no, it's true.
responsibility for sure, but that's unique. So yeah, I agree. It's an exciting time, and it has
Hmm. So now I have to ask. So COVID is here. We all have opinions on when COVID is finally going, but what do you think's been the impact of COVID on the work that we do?
a lot. I mean, there's substantial impact across not only the businesses that we support and the technology that we develop, but like how do you maintain that work-life balance and what are you dealing with from a personal perspective as a result, right? So I feel like everyone is in this day-to-day fight to perform at their jobs and also perform for their family. And I think that's one to one to your certain situation. So that first and foremost has been the biggest change. But in regards to technology and customer experiences and the digital imperative, it's certainly been an accelerant. But
Hmm.
Bryan, you know this. We've been talking about transformation for 10 years,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this has been something that we have been warning the market and our customers about for a very, very long time. I'm in financial services. So when I look up and I see that Walgreens is going to become a bank, or 5 years ago, Facebook and Amazon have financial products, it's
Yeah.
like that for me is like, hey, hold on one second. Hey, banks, like you need to
Watch
be
out.
innovating at a rapid rate. Um, so I think what happened with the pandemic, going back to your comment about fulfilling a promise,
Hmm.
I think there are a lot of CEOs of organizations that went to their internal employees and asked them to fulfill a promise that was made by technology partners, not necessarily us. There
Yeah.
are a lot out there, and they weren't able to do that. And so I think it's clearly impacted their customers, right? Whether
Hmm.
it's PPP or just general communications about branch openings or what are your new procedures and policies. Not being able to get that in front of the customer in a way that resonates with them is detrimental. And so it's been an accelerant and look, if you have to dig into the well and find any sort of silver lining to a pandemic, which is extremely hard to do. And I wouldn't say that there's anything other than the fact that technology is good. The consumer needs technology to drive an experience with a brand. It's necessary.
Yeah.
And it only empowered businesses to get budget and priority to do so. And it empowered consumers to say, I need this. That's
Yeah.
what was really interesting. You've got a subset of individuals, and I won't call out what group that is. That technology wasn't going to be adopted.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
They were laggards, right? They were
yeah,
the slow adopters.
And now they've quickly turned into the most important component of your customer base because they need help
Yeah.
in utilizing this digital experience and making sure that it kind of connects to what they're used to, which is the human to human experience. So
Yeah, and this is, I don't know if you saw that McKinsey report, but there was this McKinsey report that came out that effectively said what you just said, which is that the effect of the pandemic on digital transformation is that it just made it go anywhere from 5 to 8 times faster. And I may have that statistic off slightly, but it made it go faster. It accelerated the process. And when you think about it, it also caused clarity of vision because it wasn't, hey, I'm going to solve the entirety of the digital transformation problem. No, what can I do right now to make my business work? And that coupled with this idea that customers basically demanded that things were available digitally. They had to be able to place an order, do a return, engage with the product, get support. Like that all had to be on their phone. That all had to be online, and it just made it absolutely crucial. And
yeah,
it's exciting to see what it's done. And I was telling my wife the other day, we live in Massachusetts, so we're getting about the time of year where we start ordering wood for the winter. And the guy who sells us wood, that was it. That was all done online. I didn't have to make a phone call. Like, how crazy is that, right? Like
it's incredible.
the most fundamental kind of basic kind of business, they are online right now because they know they have to be.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. And thinking back a little over a year ago, and speaking with a customer, and I was trying to kind of get my hands around the pandemic and impact, and it was funny. I was able to get out and pretend to play golf. I'm not very good. Some of your employees can attest to that. They've been kind enough to invite me out to the golf course every once in a while. But I went to a course here locally and went online, made my tee time. I get a text message, hey, just so you know, you can order food. Tell us what you need. We'll have it in your card. Right, this no touch sort of
Wow.
digital experience, and this is a golf course, right? And this is 3 months after the initial pandemic started, and
Wow.
and 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 for me, it was like, okay, wow, this is really exciting because not only is it needed for large corporations and businesses, but it's convenient for the things that we like to do on our off time. And
Yeah.
just to have that at scale is so cool.
Well, but here's the other thing that I don't think anybody realizes, and that's the fact that it's not going to go back. Once you can text an order from your golf cart to the clubhouse to get some drinks and some onion rings, like you're never going
Hmm.
to be like, okay, I'll go place the order in person next time. No, you're going to want to do it on your phone. You're going to want to take that to the next level. Like
Yep. And
so it can't recede.
uh, absolutely. And the best part about that is going back to fulfilling your promise. The reason why there were consumers not adopting technology is because sometimes the experience was broken. But now that there is sponsorship at the highest level in organizations to figure this out, now that promise is really being fulfilled. So small businesses like golf courses or restaurants or a local gym, they actually now have the ability in the hindsight to develop a simple digital experience that can get individuals to understand that technology can actually make your life easier, and in the end it can give you more time with your family and to do the things that like you're truly passionate about. So that's what's interesting. And if you really want to like understand that, talk to a doctor
Hmm.
that wasn't able to see their patients for a
Yeah,
year and a half. Guess what? They're still not seeing their patients. You want to know why? They'd rather just do it online.
that's right.
They'd
That's
rather do
right.
it do it all
Telehealth for the
virtually.
win.
Yeah. So now you're talking about an audience that historically they would be the first one in line at the doctor's office. whenever they need to get in there, and there's no chance they're leaving until they meet with the doctor. Well, now they're the ones that are saying, I'm not coming back. I want to do this. This is great.
Yeah,
So,
well, and banks too, right? And I guess
yep.
banks would be more. It seemed like they're more apt to do it, but I just met with my local credit union online to check on accounts and get kind of like the annual update. So it's here to stay cross industry.
100%. 100%. It's shared across all industries, and that's just a unique story that I had in meeting with my doctor. And we kind of she plays a little bit of a doctor slash elder in the family with me, so we kind of go on diatribes, and she tells stories, and we just started talking about that. And it just hit with me, right? It's like that's a very, very intimate personal experience, more personal than going into a bank. And boy, the fact that patients are now adopting this virtual component is just a strong testament to not only what's right for the customer, but like the customer actually enjoys it.
Yeah. So now I don't know if you've experienced this or if this is on the horizon of all of our experiences, but when early adopters adopt technology, they're excited, right? They're driving it because they're thinking about it, and they engage the whole process in a very specific way. And when late adopters go to adopt technology, they have a different approach. And what I wonder is that, are we going to see a change in the way people go to engage their digital transformation journey? Um, are we going to see that kind of shift? Have you seen it shift over the past year and a half?
I have seen a willingness for customers to have an open mind and know that what they've done in the past can be changed,
Yeah.
and it's not going to disrupt business. And they're leaning more on Salesforce and their key technology partners to help them create that vision and create that path to digital transformation, which is nice. For Salesforce and for our partners, it's nice to know that we're not just viewed as an inventory of SKUs and tactical things that a company wants to do. We're now being viewed as, okay, like, actually help us recreate our data taxonomy and how we prioritize collecting information and what we do with it. Like, help us understand how to build an adoption program across our business for all of our individual users, and tell us what we need versus us telling you what we need and then you fit in that box. And I'm certainly not saying we should create the box, but it's nice to be in more of like a flexible, moldable ball of clay versus a legacy process that they just want to continue. It's been cool. It's been unique.
Two trends that I've noticed are that I think that, and they should, there's been a lot more emphasis on adoption, right? Because these late adopters think, look, if I'm going to buy this thing, how do we get everybody trained up and using it? And how do we know we're going to get value from it? So we've seen a lot more interest in adoption and kind of wanting to make sure that their entire team was up to speed, which is great, because if the team's up to speed, then they're using it. If they're using the software, then they're on the path to getting value. But pleasantly, I've also been surprised in having great conversations around ROI, right? Like an email, like I love those statistics on email, that email as a tool to drive engagement, it has this huge effect on increasing sales at the end of the day, because an engaged customer buys more and has more orders, right? Like that's, bread and butter digital marketing. And so we've seen questions from, or I should say focuses from CMOs and CEOs, where they're saying like, look, okay, if we're going to do this, what's the ROI? And then how do I have to drive adoption within my org to make sure that I realize it? And that's kind of one of the new kind of, I don't know, nuances that I see with kind of the late adopters getting into the market, that I think is kind of exciting, because that's the recipe for success, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We've seen more of an appetite to create an ROI model to make a decision, which we love to do. Sometimes businesses keep that internal, and going back to partnering with us to recreate a strategy. They're also partnering with us to financially justify whatever investment they're going to make. But then like communication and messaging historically has kind of sat within this marketing sort of enterprise marketing world and been viewed as a high volume, sending to everyone versus one-to-one, from an advisor or a banker or an agent. And so what's been cool about the evolution of how we're modeling ROI is now we're taking what was viewed as corporate marketing, and we're actually empowering these individual users of technology with the ability to communicate with their customers more effectively. And what's been really great to see are the stories of bankers and advisors coming back and talking about an opportunity that they closed that led from either an interaction that we suggested or a message that we suggested that led to this moment with their customer base that truly did open up additional opportunities for them to partner with the organization. So it's been unique.
Caleb, in your view, what drives long-term success when someone goes down this journey?
For me, it's truly partnering with organizations and understanding that, listen, we invented SaaS 20 years ago. Okay. The ability to log into an infrastructure and build out your experience was invented 20 years ago. This is something that,
totally mind blowing if you think about it. 20 years ago, this started.
Yeah, right. And so this is something that will carry the weight and impact of oil, gas, energy, electricity, water, food, right? Like this will be the arteries of commerce and of people connectivity until the end of time. And we're trying to figure that out. And we spend a lot of money to figure it out. And we do a lot of research to figure it out, but we're figuring it out. And so I think like the more as a business that you can sit down with a partner that you trust, you don't need to be friends with them, but someone that you would consider a friend because you trust them to the point to where they're guiding you in the right direction. If you can break that barrier before breaking the barriers of individual technological needs and just things that you want out of a platform, that will pay dividends for you and for a business and for the vendor as well. It just opens up creativity and it opens up trust that leads to a very, very unique solution over time that we're co-creating together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I noticed that I noticed a lot of companies, and I don't know if I'm just noticing it now or if it's truly been this way, but I see more stakeholders in the mix. And I see more stakeholders with questions, demands, interests, prerogatives. And at the end of the day, what that means is that to get to a solution, you can't create a solution in a vacuum and it's going to make everybody happy. You're going to have to be more collaborative. You're going to have to be able to be arm in arm with Salesforce, with a partner, with the end customer, with all those stakeholders in order to drive to an actual solution that works for the organization. I don't see any other way to do it. And so we've it's good that there are more stakeholders involved, but it really drives a higher level of communication and connectivity that I think hitherto it just hasn't quite, it wasn't the way it was 5 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I have seen development in specifically the CMO, right? And actually inheriting and owning, whether it's a bank or another organization, owning the whole entire technology stack, which has been interesting to me. And I think it's good for the culture because typically CMOs are visionary and they're pressing for change and they're looking for scale. But then like a little bit more detail around that, we do need stakeholder alignment, and to put something that's perfect in place, you need to ensure that everyone's kind of vision is incorporated. The trick to that is true scale comes in not customizing. It comes in utilizing an ecosystem that has root level connectivity, right? Which all stems back to data, right?
Absolutely.
In the end, if you can figure out a platform that shares a similar data structure to as many of other vendors that you utilize, in the end, that results in scale. And so what I've seen is there have been more stakeholders, but there's also been a willingness to collaborate and combine everyone's vision and priorities down to very concrete, business impact scenarios that also open up scale within a platform, because you're not trying to do a bunch of separate things. You're all kind of rooted in the same methodology and the same values and measures. And the hope is that those then connect to more of an infrastructure, public cloud platform scenario, to where there's connectivity for data to be shared and for that customer profile to be accessible and used to create experiences. So
yeah, I think you really touched on something there that's so critical, which is that I like to say the devil's in the details and the details in the data. The getting the data right and the data structure right at the get-go, I think, is becoming more and more important, because everybody's doing digital transformation, they're adopting systems, but it all sits on this layer of data, and without that data, without a solid foundation in that data, you need that foundation to really build the right kind of house.
Well, a shared foundation.
Yeah.
Which like brings up the cloud information model and what we've been working on with the marquee public infrastructures out there in the world: Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google. So let me ask you this: if Amazon, Microsoft, Google are working off the cloud information model, and so is Salesforce, in the end, you go back to that foundation, the root of what you're doing. If there are arteries in place and there's the ability for the language of the data to understand each other, I mean, in my opinion, there isn't a question about a platform. It's a question about how lenient are you going to be with your employees to go find niche solutions here and there that they just need, versus fitting into this overarching platform. Right.
That's
and
right.
So,
because if it can't connect, it's isolated. And if it's isolated, it really almost has no value.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, same here. And, I have to do one shameless plug. That's why I'm so excited about CDP, because it has been the thing that's been needed to really come in there and get that data foundation. But I told you I wouldn't talk about products. Go back to digital transformation.
Yeah, well, CDP could be it could be anyone's product. It's kind of a blanket term, but I'm really excited about it as well. It's a 5-year endeavor of ours that has behind the scenes has maybe been the lion's share of concentration, right, up to some of the highest levels in our organization. And with that comes what we hope to be public cloud scale, and giving our customers the ability to create something unique in Salesforce, but that can also be understood and shared across some of those marquee partners that most of our customers and all customers use.
All right. Well, Caleb, we're starting to get to the end of our time here. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And liked hearing about kind of your experiences and perspectives. Any thoughts or messages you'd like to leave with the audience before we end?
I would say, please share in my enthusiasm. Right, this is an exciting time for technology, and whether it's Salesforce or List Engage or anyone else, I can assure you that if you're looking for a technology partner, the more open you can be on the front end with collaboration, just getting everyone on the same page, and your ability to maneuver and to plan and to coordinate based off of the customer is special. So understand the yield that's behind that, and just be excited about it. And thank you, Bryan, for letting me join. And please let me know if you need a cameo here in the future. I'd be happy to pop on again.
All right. Well, Caleb, definitely we're going to have you back on the show again. thank you so much for being here, and thank you, audience, for watching Salesforce Sessions. I'm Bryan, Frota, your host, and we'll see you next time on the show.